I've had a lot of people ask what our process in the shop is. I've talked a little bit about it over the course of all these videos. And so I figure we'll take a few minutes and talk about exactly how we go through our process, what it looks like and why we do it the way we do it. And the first thing that happens is the consumer calls and we do a discovery conversation. We're asking what they hope to accomplish with the car. We're asking what are their expectations. When we talk about auto repair, are you looking for the cheapest price? Are you looking for the best quality? Are you looking somewhere in between? You know, when do you need to have this done by? What's your hope on your time requirements? You know, you want to have this done tomorrow? You want to have this done 6 months from now? You know, what is it you expect out of this? And that helps us understand if we're the right fit for that consumer. Because there are a lot of people who have varying levels of expectations. And if I can't meet those expectations, I need to acknowledge that right now. I don't need to get into the situation if I can't meet their expectations. I see a lot of guys out here who will jump in and they'll say, yeah, I can get that done. Maybe it's out of their wheelhouse. It's a vehicle they're not very familiar with. I saw a guy one time take on a bunch of motorcycles, never worked on a motorcycle in his life. Called me upset weeks later saying, these people are mad at me. I don't know why they're so mad. Well, because you got out of your wheelhouse, boo. Next step for us is we're gonna set the appointment. Now, for us, every single car is dropped off first thing in the morning, all right? 8 a.m. We usually ask folks to drop them off the night before. And that's so we can get in, get everything checked in, get started, and get moving on the testing processes that we have coming in. We use parking lot scheduling. Usually that equates to 3 appointments a day per tech. Ryan, who is our GS, he'll sometimes get 5 or 6. Here, I'm gonna move you guys over here so I'm not blinding y'all out. But so sometimes Ryan gets a few more. And first thing we do is we've usually sent over a pre-authorization through Shopware. So they're gonna pre-authorize their repairs on Shopware. If not, we send it that morning, or while they're there, we flip the monitor around, they sign right there on the screen, approve the work, and then we dispatch it. Pretty much dispatching to strengths here. So, you know, high-end diag, things like that go to one tech. Suspension, steering, things like that go to another tech, and obviously our GS work goes to Ryan. And so we move through the process. First thing we do, we take the vehicle and drive it. We don't ever work on a car that we haven't driven before we started unless it is a non-running or non-safe to drive vehicle. Take the car on a 3 to 10 mile drive, depending on their concerns. We make sure we duplicate their concerns. While we're doing that, we're data logging. We've downloaded the diagnostic trouble codes. We've pulled the freeze frame. We've saved the freeze frame. All that's uploaded to Shopware. Put all of that in, and then we do what we call our peace of mind. This is a visual inspection. It takes about 30 minutes. Techs are paid for it. We go over this car front to back, fine tooth comb. We don't take anything apart. We make recommendations for testing if needed, but we're really just going over the car to make sure we don't see anything big that our consumer needs to know about. We want to inform them up front. Now, once that's submitted, the advisors begin to estimate that, and the tech begins his level 1 testing or whatever it may be. Begins the services that he's doing. Now, by the time the tech is done with the testing, the advisor has the initial estimate for the peace of mind completed. And so the advisor will then make the estimate for the level 1 recommendations, call the consumer and say, here's what we have going on. Here's what you need to know about. Do you have any questions? If they say no, he sends over the estimate so they can approve or decline repairs right there from Shopware online. Once they approve, if it's over $2,000, we get a parts deposit. It's half down, and I do that because, not because I don't trust my clients, okay? I do trust my clients. But we do that because we've had a lot of folks later come back and say, I don't have the money, or can I make payments? And they never communicated that up front. So we always get a parts deposit if it's over about $2,000. And then as soon as we get that deposit, we order the parts and we call the consumer. And we say, hey, the parts look to be in this day. And usually we give ourselves a little bit of leeway, because I don't know if y'all have noticed this, but the part places aren't exactly reliable and the part quality is not exactly great. And so what we'll do is we'll get that car in back on the schedule for the day after we expect those parts to arrive. Now, if we're super busy and we're scheduled way out, it may go out a little bit longer than that, but usually it's within 2 or 3 days of the initial appointment date. Get the car in, obviously verify the parts, make sure we got the right parts and the parts are in good condition. Tech does the work. And then throughout the process, we've got a rule. Every client's called every single day. They're updated every single day. I know people are going to fuss about that and say, you shouldn't be doing that. That doesn't work. Trust me, it works. Especially if you were a slower moving shop like we are, right? I told you before, we only work on maybe 3 cars a day per tech. Sometimes way less than that. Sometimes more, but usually less. As we go through this process, we want to stay in contact with them. We want them to be aware of where we're at, what we're doing, how long it's going to take. Sometimes it's just a no update. We try and call every single day. Then when the parts get there, we let them know that the parts got there. We verified they're the right parts. We verified they're in good working order. And then when the technician starts on, we usually give them an update to say, hey, tech's on your vehicle, tech's working on your vehicle. When the tech gets done, the tech takes that vehicle and he drives it 10 miles on bigger repairs. If it's an oil change, if it's air filters, things like that, they only do 3 miles. But bigger repairs, we drive 10 miles. Now, that's another place of contention that people push back on. And I will tell you that here in our shop, we don't really have a lot of traffic and a lot of things to deal with, so a 10-mile drive is not that big of a deal. And we can put the vehicle through its paces. We can put it through the scenario that the consumer's likely to be driving in. Take it on a 10-mile drive, come back, he rechecks his work. Next thing that happens is the quality control technician goes out, checks all the fluids, takes it on a 10-mile drive themselves, make sure that there's no warning lights, nothing comes back on. There's a couple reasons for that. I found that all of the faults that I had way back when, if I had to come back, it was within 20 miles. So that's where the 10 mile per drive comes from. The second thing is usually if a check engine light is going to reoccur, it's going to reoccur within 20 miles. And so that's part of my reasoning behind that. But we will go through, he takes it for another 10-mile drive, rechecks everything, make sure there's no funny sounds, any smells, any smoke, any steam, comes back, rechecks all fluids, retorques the wheels, checks the technician's work, make sure there's no drips. He goes over everything, and then we invoice it, clean it up a little bit, vacuum the interior out of touch. We put some cookies in it, we put it out front and call the client. Obviously there's a lot more to it. There's a lot of nuances and things like that. We've got loaner cars and we've got shuttle service and a lot of variables that we put into our operation that I've not included here that would take way too long. But I would love to have you go into the comments and kind of write out if your business operates in a similar way, and how long you're keeping some of these vehicles. I know that a lot of shop owners get really antsy about keeping a vehicle too long. And I'm going to tell you that to do a good repair and sometimes to get parts, the whole 9 yards, you're not going to have it done in the same day. And I think trying to push to do it in the same day can be a little bit of a dangerous gamble, or you're going to end up with more troubles than you would hope you would have out of a repair because you're rushing things. So that's how we do it. Love to hear how you do it, and y'all have a good one.